No one warned Gerard Butler what would happen after 300 was released. Not the fame, not the pressure, and certainly not the physical and emotional toll that would follow him for years. To the world, 300 looked like a triumph, a blood-soaked epic where men were carved from stone, voices thundered like war drums, and the line between myth and history disappeared in a storm of steel. Gerard Butler, standing at the center as King Leonidas, became the symbol of raw masculinity overnight. Posters showed him shirtless, scarred, screaming defiance into history. Fans believed that image was real, that Butler became Leonidas easily, naturally, almost effortlessly. But the truth was far darker. Before the cameras rolled, Butler wasn't a sculpted warrior. He wasn't a trained Spartan. He was a working actor with injuries, doubts, and a body that had already been pushed too far by previous roles. When director Zack Snyder described the vision for 300, it wasn't about realism, it was about perfection. Bodies weren't just meant to look strong. They were meant to look mythical, unreal, almost impossible. And that's when the real battle began. Gerard Butler and the rest of the cast were thrown into what was later called the Spartan Boot Camp, a brutal physical regimen designed not for health but for appearance. Workouts began before sunrise and ended late at night. There were no easy days, no recovery weeks, no room for weakness. Every muscle had to be visible. Every movement had to feel violent and controlled. Butler has since admitted that the pressure was overwhelming. He wasn't training to be strong, he was training to look strong on camera under harsh lighting that exposed every flaw. Dehydration became routine. Extreme dieting became normal. Pain was ignored because there was no time to stop. The audience never saw that part. They never saw the exhaustion behind the scenes. They never heard about the injuries that piled up quietly while filming continued. Butler pushed through tendon damage, chronic pain, and sheer physical burnout because stopping wasn't an option. The film had a schedule. The image had to be maintained. And while 300 made him a global star, it also locked him into a cage he didn't realize he was building. From that moment on, Gerard Butler was no longer just an actor. He was the guy from 300. The cost of becoming a legend after 300 exploded at the box office. The world celebrated Gerard Butler as the ultimate action hero. Studios wanted more of the same. Fans expected more muscles, more rage, more invincible masculinity. Interviews focused less on acting and more on his body. Magazine covers treated him like a sculpture rather than a human being. But behind closed doors, Butler was unraveling. What most fans didn't know was that the physical transformation for 300 wasn't sustainable. The extreme workouts and starvation-style dieting damaged his body in ways that didn't show up on screen. He later admitted that maintaining that look was impossible without harming himself. Yet Hollywood didn't care. That image had become his brand. With every new role, the pressure returned. Butler began chasing the same physical peak again and again. Even as his body resisted, injuries worsened. Recovery times grew longer. Pain became constant. He once revealed that he was working through so much discomfort that he stopped recognizing what normal felt like. And then there was the mental toll. The success of 300 created an identity crisis. Butler was praised for his appearance more than his craft. Roles became repetitive. Scripts felt shallow. He felt trapped by expectations he never agreed to. The same audience that idolized him also limited him. During this period, Butler struggled privately with unhealthy coping mechanisms. He has spoken openly about battling addiction, using substances to numb both physical pain and emotional frustration. The pressure to stay relevant, to stay Spartan, pushed him further away from himself.
There were moments when his career nearly collapsed entirely. Injuries forced production shutdowns. Personal issues made headlines. Studios began to hesitate. The same industry that once worshipped him started questioning whether he was reliable. The transformation that made him famous now threatened to destroy him. And still, fans didn't know. They saw premieres, red carpets, carefully edited interviews. They never saw the hospital visits. They never saw the self-doubt. They never saw a man trying to escape a role that refused to let him go. For Gerard Butler, 300 wasn't just a movie, it was a turning point that came with a price no one warned him about. The truth he finally admitted. Years later, Gerard Butler finally began telling the truth. Not the marketing version, not the heroic fantasy, the real story. In interviews, he admitted that the body standards set by 300 were unrealistic and damaging not just for actors but for audiences too. He acknowledged that the film helped create impossible expectations of masculinity, expectations that even he couldn't live up to without hurting himself. He spoke about regret not for making the film, but for what it cost him physically and mentally. He admitted that he ignored warning signs for too long, that he confused discipline with self-destruction, that the praise blinded him to the damage being done. But there was also growth. Butler slowly rebuilt his career on his own terms. He chose roles that focused more on character than physique. He stepped away when needed. He addressed his personal struggles instead of hiding them. And most importantly, he stopped trying to be Leonidas in real life. Today, when fans revisit 300, they see strength, courage, and mythic heroism. But Gerard Butler sees something else, a reminder of how far he pushed himself to meet an illusion. The brutal truth behind 300 isn't about blood or battle. It's about the cost of becoming a symbol, a cost paid quietly, a truth revealed years later, and a reminder that even legends are human. What made Gerard Butler's experience even more brutal was what happened after the applause faded. When 300 left theaters, the world moved on quickly. New films arrived. New heroes replaced old ones. But Butler was left alone with a body that no longer felt like his own and a mind that had been stretched thin by years of pressure. The discipline that once fueled him now felt like a burden. The physical pain did not disappear just because the cameras stopped rolling. He later admitted that the injuries he carried from 300 followed him into other productions. Stiff joints, chronic soreness, lingering damage that no amount of training could erase. Yet, every time he appeared on screen, audiences expected the same intensity, the same rage, the same impossible physique. And Hollywood encouraged it. Producers did not ask how he was feeling. They asked whether he could still look the part. Scripts were offered with the assumption,